What's going on, guys? Jimmy from Clockwork Industries. Welcome back to another Clockwork Gaming video for Diablo Immortal. So, I did a video before about the PvP build that I was running with the Urge 4 set and Mount Banks 2 set. Well, the dungeon build that I'm running is very similar. I still use the same set items. I'm running a 4-piece Urge with the increased attack speed and everything. Still have my Mount Banks 2 set on. I probably switched this out for like Shalbas or probably Gloom, one of the two. But these have the best CR on them for right now. I have pretty decent items here for Mount Banks boots and belt. But yeah, I'll probably end up switching this out and would be more ideal for dungeon with probably Shalboss just for the, guaranteed primary attack damage. But we're going to go here and solo Pit of Anguish really quick in Hell 5, and I'll kind of walk through the build as I'm doing it. It should take between like 6 to 7 minutes, I think. So the build is also based heavily around Vithu's Urge, and one thing here, we still have the kick that is adding the buff, so you get 10% damage buff every time you kick. You also get a Vithu's proc from Pants, because Cyclone Strike temporary decreases damage you take, so this is also considered a buff. This will proc Vithu's. And then we're running 7-sided strike continues to burn enemies. This creates Firestorm mixed with the chest piece, where Cyclone Strike now generates a powerful tornado. And then I just have 7-sided strike damage on my shoulders. And we have Sanctuary Blessing on the helm to bring a buff to your party. This buff will also buff your whole party with Vithu's Urge. So the build synergizes very well. You don't have any wasted slots. Everything has a purpose. And you bring Vithu's to your party, and you get to use it almost non-stop because kick is almost always up. That wasn't letting me target the worm there for a second. But then you proc Firestorm with your 7-sided strike and Cyclone Strike, which will basically guarantee crits for all of your Cyclone Strike hits. You can see all those crits that I got there. Wow, where's this guy going? Going really slow. But yeah, so basically with this build, because of how many kicks you get with 3 charges, you after this cutscene, you essentially have your Vithu's buff up and a damage buff every time you kick. So you're getting 10% damage boost and 30% increased attack speed. Now, if you were running Shalboss, you would also have 15% increased damage on your primary attacks when you do this. Or if you were running a Gloom 2 set, it would proc the same way Vithu's does on your kicks, because they're all considered dashes. So I think overall, I'd probably want Shalboss because you have that damage at all times. But at the same time, Gloom is also a 15% damage overall. So your Cyclone Strike would hit harder, but it would only be hitting for those 3 seconds after the kick. So it's a toss-up between those two. They're pretty similar. I would maybe lean more towards the Shalboss just for when you don't have any buffs up, you're still getting the increased primary attack damage, because that is what's going to be delivering most of your damage when your skills are on cooldown. And then you just kind of time your cooldowns based on your buffs underneath your nameplate up here. And just do what you can to try to keep Vithu's buff up non-stop. And it does some pretty solid damage as well. I wanted to try to put together a support build that would bring a buff to the party, because I was used to doing the same thing with Necro, so I would try to bring Bone Armor or something, and my Bone Armor would also bring Vithu's buff. but Sanctuary works good, so your party's gonna get the 35% damage buff from the Sanctuary, as well as the 30% attack speed buff from Vithus. So you're running here with 3 charges from Kick, Cyclone Strike, and your Sanctuary. So pretty much everything except for 7-sided Strike is proccing the Vithus buff for you. It is nearly 30% attack speed increase non-stop. Because you could pretty much time it out where you can keep it up the entire time. Here and there you'll lose the buff, but depending on the fights and the dungeon you're in, you can pretty much keep it up at all times. There we go. Now, also don't forget the Hell 5 dungeon is not geared for 1 player. It is still set for 4 players. Really, the only annoying part is that first part with these slugs. Go. One more round. And these attacks will also proc your Bottled Hope as well, since Bottled Hope is procced off a buff. So every time you're proccing Vithus and you have a Bottled Hope on cooldown, that will also proc as well if you have that gem. There we go. So, I don't know, we're taking almost about 8 minutes here. It's going to look like somewhere around there. 8.5. Oh, maybe about 7. I don't know how long I was talking in the beginning before I started clearing the dungeon. And we almost got him. And try to combo out your ultimates with Vithus buff, your Sanctuary buff, whenever you have the opportunity to. But overall, this build is pretty solid, and it's earned me quite a few chests of glory in the raids, and it's an overall win in the dungeons. I have another kind of setup that I just put together for open world farming, and I'll probably do another video on that, but it's more of a mobility build just for getting around and killing things as fast as possible and moving on to the next. Of course, no greens. I also am saving up greens and wisps to do another video on crafting. There's a new thing you can do now. Well, not a new thing you can do, but a feature that I was previously unknown to me when I made my last video on the crafting is when you disenchant one of these, you have a 1% chance, and I think it's a varied amount, like 1%, 1%, 1% to craft or to break it down into 2 wisp, 3 wisp, or potentially 5, I think you can actually get. So it has a very low percentage for happening, but you could randomly disenchant one of these and end up with 5 wisps out of 1 green. So that's pretty interesting. I'm going to try to record as many of these disenchants as I can to see if we can catch it on video. But yeah, that's the, I guess it's the urgent kicks build for dungeons. It's pretty similar to the PvP spec, but you know, you're getting your Firestorm out of Cyclone Strike and 7-sided Strike, and then you bring your buff, and you have Vithus up nearly the entire time. So that's probably going to do it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you everybody for checking out the other video of the crafting and everything. Really appreciate it. Thank you everybody that's subscribed so far. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button and the like button. It really helped me out. Trying to get the channel up to 100 subs so I can make a custom URL and everything like that. But I'm going to probably have another video up tomorrow. I'm going to try to get one out every single day and keep it moving. So thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one. Later.